Hello. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully, everything is going good. We're talking about driver education today. What do you need to do to improve? I teach driver's education. I'm a certified instructor. I teach teens and adults. Let's go ahead and talk about it. That first drive can be really scary out there, and it's really important that you feel comfortable in your drive and you really feel like you're doing your best. Okay. And when you feel like you're doing your best, good things will happen. What can you expect on your first drive? Your first drive is very nerve wracking. You and your instructor will be building a relationship. You're going to talk about best practices, how you get better. You're going to learn what's going on in the vehicle. You want to be with a licensed and certified instructor, someone who has experience, who knows how to deal with teens and adults. That's me. And when I get into a vehicle with the student, I try to make them feel comfortable. I want to make them really appreciate everything they're learning. And we want to build a strong relationship together. When you build a strong relationship together, only good things can happen. And that's what it's all about, making those good things happen. You have to learn what is going on in your vehicle. You've got to really trust the process. And when you see someone who's learning how to drive, you really need to give them space, you need to be patient with them, and you really need to understand what's going on. If you have comments or questions, type them in. I'm here to help you, I'm here to serve you. Um, so, what is that first drive like? You're going to be going into some neighborhoods, you're going to be working on turns. You're going to be learning how to turn hand over hand into the turn. You're going to learn how to turn hand over hand out. Some of those things are super important for your success. If you overturn or underturn, you could end up going on the curve or going onto someone's grass. So we want to really have you start driving in a neighborhood which is low traffic. You want to drive during off peak hours. Off peak hours are when after construction is done, after rush hours done. This way you can feel really comfortable with the car. I try to take students to downtown areas where you can feel comfortable learning how it's illegal to drive with a sibling on a provisional license. Um, it depends on where you live. It depends on the province you're in. Where I'm from, it has to be someone 21 or older. This way you can get the hours. Okay, very good question. Um, so you need to learn the cockpit drill. You need to learn what's going on in the vehicle. You need to know where the blinkers are. You need to know where the windshield wipers are. You need to be able to put your foot on the brake. You need to be able to pivot your foot between the brake and gas. You need to wear thin sole shoes. I find that students who wear thin sole shoes can feel that brake, can feel the gas. If you have a thick sole shoe, you're not really going to be able to feel that pedal as much as you need to. So it's really important that you have that pedal and you get a feel for the pedal. A lot of beginning drivers kind of move their foot back and forth so they can see and feel that pedal, right? You want to learn good observation skills. You want to be able to look left, middle, and right. We have to see you starting to develop good observation skills, to see cars in front of you, to see people near you, to see people aware, right? And that takes comfort. I like to take students into neighborhoods. You're making four right turns, you're making four left turns, right? You're feeling comfortable. I want to be able to see you have that car properly centered, have it properly spaced. Spacing is really important when you feel comfortable, and you have to feel comfortable with the car. That is so important. Um, Many drivers, 10 and 2, 9 and 3, those are hand positions on the steering wheel. There are many different theories why you should turn hand over hand. Some people say hand to hand. Here in the United States, primarily it's hand over hand. We know there's an airbag in the middle. We're not trying to have our thumbs or our fingers broken in case of a collision. So you don't want to palm the wheel. Palming the wheel, you will definitely lose control. You don't want to turn underhand and throw the wheel. If you throw the wheel, then you're going to lose control of your vehicle. If you have questions this time for men, let's talk about some starting. You want to get into that vehicle. You want to put on your seatbelt. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to give proper signal when you're leaving the curb. You have to look over your shoulder. If the curb is on the right, I have to turn on my left turn signal, look over my shoulder. This is my blind spot. This is an area that is between the rear door, and you have to look over your shoulder to eliminate that blind spot, right? You got to check traffic. You got to look both ways, and you're waiting for a gap. A gap is a space between traffic, and usually beginning drivers have a difficult time understanding what a gap is. If you pull out too early, you're going to cut off a car. If you pull out too late, you're going to miss your gap. So timing is important. This is where your instructor comes in and helps you, right? Let's talk about steering. You want to have both hands on the wheel. We've talked about this before. And on your DMV test or road test, technically you could drive with one hand, but we want to see you driving with both hands on the wheel. We want you comfortable. You got to feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're going to be really nervous. You want to keep your vehicle centered in the lane. A lot of beginning drivers look down to the right, or they look down to the left. You want to aim high, just like you're walking down in the hallway. You want to be properly centered. And those things are super important as you go on. Here in North America, our steering wheel's on the left side. You as beginning drivers, you've been seeing your mom and dad drive pretty much your whole life, or your caregiver. So we want to make sure that you are centered and have good spacing. Good spacing is very important, because when you have good spacing, you're able to keep that car properly centered. A lot of beginning drivers tend to hug the right side of the road. They hug the left side. So aim high, have it properly centered. The white line is called the edge line to the right. Then in some cases, if you're on a single lane road on the left, you're going to have a yellow line. If you're on a multi-lane road, you're going to have broken white lines. This is where you can change lanes because traffic is moving in the same direction. Okay. If you have a broken yellow line on your side, then you can change lanes if it's safe, and you do not want to exceed the speed limit. Okay. Let me know where you're from. Type comments and questions. We're talking about driving practices that need to be improved. I'm a state certified instructor. I teach teens and adults. I've been teaching driver's ed 21 years. So I'm here to help you and guide you and direct you. So when you get out to that first drive, when you go and take your road test, you will be successful. So feel free to ask those questions. You want to stay to the right center. You don't want to drift out of your lane, because you could sideswipe a car, meaning get the mirror knocked off, get the front driver's side door smashed. You want to be properly centered so you have space on the left and space on the right. Okay, let's talk about lane changing for a moment. You need to prepare and know where you want to go. If I'm making a lane change to the left, I turn on my blinker, which is down. I look mirror, turn signal, blind spot. You have to look over your shoulder. It's got to be a sequence. A lot of beginning drivers turn the wheel too long and you're swerving out of your lane. It's just a slight turn of the wheel and you look over your left shoulder. Okay. Then you cancel your blinker. You want to maintain speed. Beginning drivers either hit the brake and slow down too much, or they hit the gas and accelerate. So you have to find that balance. And when you practice, you want to practice at a time that is comfortable for you, that is reasonable for you. You don't need mom and dad on your head. You don't need someone screaming at you. You want to be in a comfortable situation so you can see your mistakes, you can learn from your mistakes, and then you can get better. No one wants to be stressed. No one wants to have anxiety. Okay. Let's continue. You also want to check to make sure no one is in the lane that you're going to get into. A lot of beginning drivers are just scared to look. And this is not a blind spot check. This is a blind spot check. So you're looking, okay, over that shoulder where that blind is. That is my blind spot. No pun intended. Get it blind. blind spot. To the right, this is my right blind spot. So when I'm driving, if I have to make a lane change to the right, mirror, turn signal, blind spot. And then you glide the car right into the lane. Okay. Let's talk about speed and following distance. I've been getting a lot of questions on speed control. You need to drive at a speed that is safe and reasonable for the conditions on the road. If you overspeed, you're going to get a ticket, you're going to be in a dangerous situation. And when you're taking your road test, that could be grounds for automatic failures. So you want to drive right at the speed limit or one or two below. You do not want to go over the speed limit. Your DMV tester or road tester will never put you into a dangerous situation. I want to say this again. Your DMV tester or road tester will never put you into a dangerous situation because we want you to be successful. We want you to have best practice. And it does take practice. It takes up to 10 years to truly learn how to drive consistently, and how to drive safely. Let's continue. Um, we talked about maintaining good speed, driving at the speed limit, being safe, being able to make lane changes to the left, lane changes to the right, not holding up the flow of the traffic. If you feel that you are going too slow, you need to get over to the right lane. Slower moving traffic stays in the right lane. This is on a regular surface street, and this is on the expressway. If you can't maintain a safe speed, get over to the right, but be forewarned when you're on that expressway, you're going to have cars merging in front of you that will cut you off or get in behind you because what are they trying to do? They're trying to merge up the speed too. So, what I do with my students, we get in the first lane, establish that speed, mirror, turn signal, blind spot. Then, once it's clear, we look over our shoulder, quick glance, check our mirror, and then we get into that middle lane. The middle lane is the smooth lane, right? And the smooth lane will allow you to have the left lane, and that's for passing. People are driving much faster. The lane to the right, people are merging on, trucks, cars. So that middle lane is where eventually we want to be. Okay. You want to maintain a posted speed around the curve. You don't want to go over speed because if you do, centrifugal force will turn the car to the outside if you're going around a curve to the right. The rear of the car will rotate to the left and you'll overturn. I've been in a few situations like that too. So you want to go slow into the curves, squeeze your brake just before, then accelerate out of the curve, and you'll have great speed control, good movement. A lot of beginning drivers go in too fast and then they try to brake in the middle and the car loses traction. It's a little bit scary. Trust me, I've been there. Or they go very, very slow going in. They go very, very slow going out. So I want to see consistent speed control going into that curve and consistent speed control going out of the curve. And then you're consistent and then you're feeling good. I'm feeling good. And we continue on with the lesson. Uh, Maintain a 2-second following distance. How do you know you're following distance? I strongly suggest you listen right now. I'm going over DMV prep, DMV test questions, two fellow knowledge tests. You want to pick a stationary object. Maybe there's a red house. Once the car passes the house in front of you, start counting 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Ideally, it's one car length for every 10 miles an hour. So if you're going 40, you want about 4 car lengths. You're going 30, you want about 3 car lengths. So remember, a general rule of thumb is about 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour. And usually at times when you're in that first and second drive, your adrenaline is going, your heart is pounding. You want to reduce that speed. You want to increase your following distance. Those are some things I really look for in my students, to have great vehicle control, to feel comfortable. And when you feel comfortable in the car, it's going to be more of a comfortable, pleasurable situation than kind of a stressful situation. Okay. You want to slow down when you change lanes if you're tailgated. You never want to hit the brake really hard. We live in a very aggressive society. I'm sorry to say that, but it doesn't mean you, as a beginning driver or someone new to the United States, it doesn't mean that you have to drive aggressive. It means you want to have best practice, you want to have great speed control, you want to be comfortable, and you want to keep space because it's an extremely aggressive society today. People road rage at the smallest thing, and you just want to be comfortable. And I can't stress that enough. If your instructor or your mom or dad or your best friend or your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, if they're just on you, it's not going to be a pleasurable experience. You want to be able to have good speed control. You want to be able to keep that car centered. You want to look ahead. A lot of beginning drivers tend to, what do? They look down. You see me looking down? I'm looking at the speedometer right now. I should be looking up, scanning left, middle, right. So I try to teach my students. And if you look at my content, and I strongly suggest you do, we talk about vision. We talk about good speed control. And those things will keep you consistent. And when you're consistently driving and getting good experience, it's going to be more comfortable. Every element has different outcomes. Okay. Let's talk about responsiveness to the weather. You want to increase your following distance if it's bad weather, right? You want to drive at a speed that is safe and reasonable. What does that mean? If it's raining outside, increase your following distance. If it's snowing, increase your following distance. If it's fog, increase your following distance. I know what you're thinking. It's fog. I can turn on my high beam lights. No, you can't. It's raining. I can turn up. No, because those high beam lights will reflect the water particles. They'll reflect the fog particles. See, I'm giving you DMV test prep right now. So this is when you need to listen. If you have questions, type them in. So you want to reduce your speed in any type of adverse weather conditions. Reduce your speed, increase your following distance. You want to look ahead. You can use that edge line. Remember, I talked about that? That's that white line to the right, that edge line or fog line to keep you straight. And it will take you longer to get home. So you might as well relax, take your time, pack your patience, make sure you have enough fuel, and make sure you're comfortable. You want to plan on, just in case, hey, I'm going to be stuck in traffic for a while. That's really important. Let's talk about entering the highway. I'm giving you some tips right now. Driving practice is to be improved. As an instructor, I want to improve. I want to get better. I want to keep growing. And if I get better, you will get better. Okay. So let's talk about entering the expressway. You want to get on that ramp. Some ramps are really short. You've got to get up to speed immediately. Some ramps are longer. Halfway down the ramp, you start accelerating 30, 35, 40. Then you look over your left shoulder, you turn on your blinker, you accelerate up to speed, and you get right into the first lane. A lot of beginning drivers, what do? Oh my God, I'm scared. And then they lift their foot. That's one of the worst things you can do because traffic is moving at 55, 60, 65, 70, and higher. And they're panicking and they're saying to themselves, oh my God, why is this driver stopping like that or slowing down? So you want to get your speed up immediately and be smooth. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm passionate about driving. I want to help everyone I can. And that really means a lot. Because I want to be the best instructor I can. If you're making a choice to listen to me for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, you could be doing other things. I want to bring you the best content I can. That really means a lot. And if you have certain things you want me to illustrate reverse parallel parking, merging on the expressway, I have some GoPros, I have some other things, dash cams that I can really illustrate that to give you best practice. Okay. So when you're on that ramp, you got to get up to speed immediately. So what type of speed are we talking about? 35, 45, about 50. 50 can get you right up into that first lane, right? But they're driving 60, they're driving 65, they're driving 70, they're driving 75. You got to get into that first lane, get your speed up, then you can exhale, right? But you still have to check that rear mirror. You've got to cancel your signal. There's a lot going on, right? You can tell by my voice. And if you listen to it, you've got to be patient. You've got to take your time. And sometimes my students need me to not say anything. Sometimes they need me to listen. They need me to give them support. Good instructors listen to their students and they apply best practice. And I have to have faith in my students. My life, if you hold out your hands, my life is in their hands, literally. So I've got to trust them. We build trust by having good speed control, recognizing lights, not running lights, right? And I just want to speak on lights for a minute. If you can stop within 3 seconds, not slamming your brakes, a gradual stop, 1001, 1002, 1003. If you can stop without slamming your brakes, stop. Don't get comfortable running yellow lights. If you get comfortable running yellow lights, you're going to build bad habits. You're going to fail your road test. You're going to end up getting broadsided. So I try to instill that my very first time when I'm with my students. And how do we do this? By looking ahead 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Oh, there's a truck. Oh, there are two cars. You see how I'm looking ahead? I'm not looking down at the speedometer. You've got to look ahead. It's really vision. Okay. You got to have good vision and you got to really look around. So you want to signal prior to merging out onto back to the expressway. You want to signal prior to merging out, get that blinker on, look over your shoulder, accelerate up the speed, get on that ramp, get into the nearest lane. Once you're comfortable and once you're set, if you need to get over to the left lane, you mirror, check your center mirror, turn signal, blind spot. You have to have that sequence. If you don't, you will be marked down. And if you don't check your blind spot, what's going to happen? You're going to cut off a car. And then people will lay on the horn. That'll startle you, your heart to beat, my heart to beat. And that's kind of nervous and scary. Trust me, I've been there before. But I'm here for my students. Select and enter a gap, which minimizes interference. What does that mean? Don't cut people off. If you're cutting people off, they will slam brakes or they might have to make a sharp maneuver left or sharp maneuver right. Don't cut people off. Have good speed control. You want to get into that nearest lane. You want to get up to speed. If they're at 65 and you're at 58, you got to get your speed up because here's the gap. They're waiting for you, waiting for you, waiting for you, and there's your gap. Then you have to accelerate and keep your speed up and keep your speed up. So that's what you want to think of, like a door opening and you're walking through that door and then the door closes. So what happens if you get stuck in a closed door? Well, you're going to have to maintain speed. You might have to speed up. You might have to slow down because you can only control what? The space in front of you. Okay, I'm strongly suggest you need to listen through because I'm going over DMV test questions and preparing you. Okay, I'm only going to talk to you as long as I need to give you good information, and you guys will give me feedback. So a lot of beginning drivers struggle in merging because it is scary and it is overwhelming. So I tell students ahead of time, hey, this is what this merger is going to look like. This is a longer ramp. Let's get our speed up early. We're up to about 35, 40, 50, 55. I'm like, yeah, good job. Good speed control. Get your speed up. Hold that speed. Check your mirror, turn signal blind spot. You do a quick glance, you go right into the first lane. Most students go right into the first lane. Some students drift off to the right. That's a little scary, or they drift into the left lane. We want to keep our car straight on that curve. You can tell by my voice that it's an adrenaline rush, and that's real. It's always exciting, right? And you want an instructor who's excited about teaching you, who's experienced about teaching you, and that experience will keep you and the instructor and the whole environment safe, right? You want to periodically observe adjacent lanes. What's going on to that left lane? Are they going 70? Are they going 80? Are they going 100? Are they going 40? Is there something wrong? You want to look at the lanes. You've got Okay, you also have to watch what's in front of you. You see my hands, you got to look to the left, you got to look to the right. So you have to have broader vision, right? And that takes practice. When you first start, you're going to have tunnel vision just like this. But as time goes on, your field of vision will increase, right? And that's what we want to see as an instructor. I want you to become comfortable. You want to frequently check your side mirrors. You got to know, wow, is that a car behind me? Is that a truck beside me? People will hang in your blind spots. They're called the no zones. Say this with me: left side, right side, front and back. Left side, right side, front and back. Big cars, big trucks, stay out of cars' no zones or blind spots, because someone could just come over in your lane and you're like, oh my God, I'm just driving, and they cut me off. Most of the time, it's a mistake. So when you pull up next to a car, go ahead and keep moving. Get out of that blind spot. Either speed up or slow down, because people are not paying attention, right? You want to signal exit intentions well in advance. What does that mean? You want to get over to the appropriate exit as soon as possible, a mile, a half mile. If you're waiting and you're less than a half mile, now it's nervous. Now it's stressful because you waited too long to what? Get over to your appropriate lane. Now you're checking your shoulder, you're speeding up, you're slowing down. Cars are trying to get in that lane. I've seen it time and time again. Get over early. Get in that lane a half mile, a mile before. Yes, you got to go a little bit slower, but that's fine because you won't miss your exit, right? Let's talk about passing a vehicle. You want to allow sufficient space to pass that vehicle. What does this mean? You want to accelerate, and when you look over your shoulder, your blind spot, you want to get in front of that vehicle. What do you want to see? You want to see the rear, you want to see the front headlights in your mirror. You don't want to accidentally cut off a car. And that is scary. You feel bad about that because you don't want to get cut off. So you have to get your speed up, look for a gap, mirror, turn signal, blind spot, get in front, and keep your speed up. A lot of the beginning drivers are scared to make the lane changes. You have to do multiple things. You've got to accelerate up to speed. You've got to look over your shoulder. And then, so there's a lot going on there. You want to signal and then cancel that signal. Okay. Here's some areas that you do not want to pass on, right? You do not want to pass on a hill. Why? You can't see. You do not want to pass on a curve. Why? You can't see. You do not want to make a lane change in an intersection. That is illegal and dangerous, because if you make a lane change to the right or left, someone's making a turn out in front of you. They think the lane's clear. You sideswipe them, you hit them, you fail the test. We do not want that to happen. We want to teach you best. But what if I need to make a lane change into the gas station right after a light? As soon as you get halfway through the intersection, turn on that blinker, reduce your speed, check your mirror, get right into that private drive, right? Um, you want to provide at least 2 seconds of following distance. You've been behind someone, your parents have been behind someone, and they just suddenly stop. And your parents are like, oh my God, I almost hit them, because they did not give you adequate time. And it goes both ways. You want to illustrate good driving practice. You want to demonstrate good driving practice. And then you learn that, because no one wants to almost rear end someone, right? I just wanted to say thank you. It was nice to interact with you again. If you have comments or questions, leave them. I will reply. And I want to say thank you. Have a great evening. Bye.